What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back going to be talking about Survivor season 46, episode 6, which was the fake merge episode. So my name is Rachel.
I'm Alyssa, and I gotta say, not to be too negative, but I feel like this mergatory episode is just not fun anymore. Like, it was fun the first couple of times when it was like new and fresh, but I feel like this episode ends up going the same way basically every time, and I feel like it doesn't actually add that much complexity to the tribe dynamics, which I think is what people were hoping for when this whole idea got started. So I was kind of disappointed with this episode. It was meh.
Yeah, I'm like, even the 41, 42, when they got the stupid hourglass, it wasn't even fun. It was just angering to watch. And now it seems like with these fake merge episodes and then splitting and doing two votes next week with two separate teams going to tribal council with random draws, they're just voting out the people that are already on the bottom. It's hard for those people to have a fighting chance because it's like, hey, easy vote. We know it's a fake merge. At the next time, it's probably going to be a split tribal at either final 12 or at final 10. So, one of these two things we're probably prepared for in the new era. You're maybe not going to be as willing or wanting to make a big move now because you're like, oh, that's a little bit scary. If we lose our numbers at the split tribal, I could easily get eliminated. So let's just vote out the people on the bottom.
Yeah, I feel like basically what you said, that always happens. And I feel like we're going to see the same kind of thing happen with the split tribal too. So,
Great for next week. So, we start this episode off with Hunter getting his idol. I thought it was funny. They read the note that the merge is happening, and then he literally runs off. I just think it's funny watching people run on like sand or on the beach in Survivor, like Brad running before. They just always look so weird.
yeah. And I think it was also fun because Hunter talked about how he was like trying to make it look like he was just excited when really what he was trying to do is once the people get on the new beach, he like loses his vote, and so he's trying to find this idol. It's a whole production where he's trying to find an idol before they actually merge. And so I wonder what would have happened if someone had decided like not to check tree mail that day, or if they checked tree mail late, because it seemed like he really was down to the wire. He needed every minute that he had.
Yeah, Hunter posted on his Instagram story, like clarifying the rules because people were like, oh, why are you so like antsy about finding the idol? It was something like apparently if he didn't get it within whatever the 10 minutes that the other teams got to their camp, like the idol would be void or nullified. So it wouldn't even matter if he found it or not. Like it wouldn't, it'd be useless. So I guess that was interesting. I didn't realize that it was he had to find it now before the tribes actually merged because then the idol would be nothing.
I think that makes sense though, because if they had multiple people who hadn't found their idols yet, it wouldn't you wouldn't want multiple people to have the location of the same idol, right? So, yeah, I kind of get it, but also though that rule set seems kind of complicated.
I guess it makes sense. Like, say if like they are merging on Hunter's Beach, but say if like the person on Green, they never lost immunity. Like if they weren't merging on Green Beach, like you would have to do it within that 10 minutes because then they wouldn't be able to find their idol. But then, oh, Hunter, because they merged on his beach, gets like in limited time. I guess it wouldn't be fair. So I guess it makes sense in that case. Like if that other beach wasn't being merged on, you still get the same amount of time that Hunter got.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I feel like Hunter's thing was a lot easier compared to Tiffany's and Jem's. Like he just had to solve the riddle and then get the key location. Tiffany having to do like the weird puzzle thing and then Jem having to do multiplication and counting all of the machetes. It felt like his one was easier, which I guess does make sense too given the time constrictions. But yeah.
But would it I think it would have been the same one regardless of whether or not it was like time constricted. Like it's not like they had one version for if they lost and then one version for if they didn't, right? Just because
Well, I guess it'd be a different riddle, right? Like they all the beaches don't have steps.
yeah, I don't know. But I think part of it is I think people are like, oh, Hunters is hard because it's very public. But I feel like Gems with the counting was also very public. So I don't know. I agree that Hunter had the easiest. It almost seems like Tiff had the hardest, Jem had the middle, and then Hunter had the easiest. When it feels like it should have been the other way around. Like the person who finds it first should have the easiest time, and then the longer you can't find it, the harder it gets.
I thought it was funny. We see Hunter digging at the steps, sitting there, and then you hear and see Venus and Soda bickering in the background. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. I also think it's funny because a lot of people were talking about how Venus was getting like snippy with Soda for not knowing where Hunter's head was at, and it's like, bestie, you asked her a question and she answered the question. Like, what's going on here? I feel like a lot of people on the internet have been talking about Venus since this episode aired. So it's a fun time.
Yeah, I thought this scene, it was sort of stressful the way it was edited because you didn't really know how close the other tribes were to getting to their camp. Like, obviously, they're showing like the boat shots. Oh, the other people are here, but like, cut to Hunter digging there. You don't really know. Similar, like Amazing Race, when the last two teams are going to the mat, it's edited in a way that makes it feel close, but in real life, it might not actually be that close.
Yeah. You never know. TV magic.
Yeah, but Hunter gets the idol, so yippee for him.
Yippee for him.
Speaking of Hunter having some good luck this episode, good things happening for him. He's also part of the plus one alliance. Hunter did tell Tevin that Tevin was his plus one into the alliance. It does seem like Hunter, Tevin, Q, and Tiffany could be a strong secret foursome based off of last week's journey. We see sort of awkward. Like Tim didn't tell Maria about this plus one alliance. His reasoning was that, hey, I wanted Maria to make her own decision, so that's why I didn't tell her. But I feel like this comes off bad when then Q has to go and talk to Maria, and Maria's like, WTF are you talking about? Tim didn't tell me. I feel like low key, even if you wanted Maria to make her own decision, a heads up would have been nice. So now Q is like, oh, I can't trust Tim and Maria.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of already puts the plus one alliance on the wrong foot if one person didn't even know they were in the alliance. And I guess I'm still kind of confused why Tim didn't tell Maria. Like, his explanation wasn't very good.
Yeah, I feel like Tim not telling her, it just makes it feel like he doesn't trust the plus one alliance, or he doesn't actually believe that the plus one alliance is actually a thing. Because why wouldn't you just give your plus one person a heads up? Tim says, oh, people get into alliances too early sometimes, so I didn't want to do all that. But I feel like in Survivor, I would just say yes. Fill in that plus one person briefly, like Hunter did with Tevin. You could say, oh, yeah, I said yes to this fake alliance. I don't actually believe it, but if someone asks you about it, here's the information. But I don't want to go this way. I just said yes because it's Survivor. You should say yes. Don't close any doors. And then, like, just cover your back. Now Tim looks hella sketch.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about how Tim's edit has been really inconsistent. I can't see him doing very well, and I feel like this kind of shows the ways that his game is weak because you shouldn't pull someone in on an alliance and not tell them about it. And I feel like it's definitely going to come back to bite him.
It was funny too. It caught Maria off guard, and she was like, I didn't think I was Tim's number one. That's what we said last week. Tim thinks highly of Maria. Maria's got a lot of friends.
Yeah, Maria's got a lot of friends. But also, I feel like it's kind of awkward, like when someone's like, "Oh, you're my best friend," and you're like, "Oh, you're not." So, I feel like Maria handled it pretty well, even if Tim didn't.
I could see the Hunter, Tevin, Q, and Tiffany foursome. They maybe might kick out Tim and Maria or try to find a new plus two to make it a six-person alliance. But because Hunter did tell Tevin, I could see those other four being strong secretly.
For sure.
So then we see Q and Mariah talking, where Mariah says that Aubrey is her favorite player. Which is interesting though, because in exit interviews, Mariah said Q said his favorite player was Jeremy, but Q really latched on to the Aubrey thing here.
Yeah, Q really latched on to the Aubrey thing. I think it kind of proves that like you shouldn't tell someone something unless you're Like it felt like Q took this all the way, and it's kind of like in Survivor, someone will come up with the most arbitrary of reasons to vote you out. So maybe don't say anything that is like voter outable. Like maybe just say like, oh, there's a ton of great Survivor players. I couldn't possibly pick this one. And like maybe then you'll get shat on for being wishy washy, but at least then someone won't be like, she's going to be the next Aubrey. So
Which is interesting because Mariah was like, "Yeah, Q said Jeremy first. Jeremy's a winner, so if I just not say a winner, it's lesser than Q saying Jeremy." It's also I'm like, "Oh, Mariah, Aubrey, they both wear glasses. I guess you can't say an answer that's someone within your like similar archetype maybe. Like if you're a nerdy looking white woman, don't say another one like that." But I'm like, "Oh, if you're really thinking Aubrey's later 2 seasons or especially the Edge of Extinction one, she didn't do too hot.
yeah, yeah. I don't know though. It was a big deal to Q, so I guess it has to be a big deal to everyone.
Yeah, I guess a good answer, I like if you do say a winner, like Steven Fishback was like, yeah, like Jeremy is a good answer for this, even though he did win. Jeremy's known for like being loyal and playing an idol for other people, so that could be a good answer. I feel like I would say someone that's like funny and maybe a winner, but I would just say someone random, and that doesn't look like you.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you need to have a fake answer already prepared.
Yeah, like someone so random and that's like maybe like a merge boot or someone that they won't even remember who it was.
For sure.
So we get to the immunity challenge and you have to earn the merge again. You get split into two teams as we've seen in the recent seasons. The teams are orange and purple. Orange is Charlie, Mariah, Soda, Venus, Liz, and Maria. Purple is Hunter, Tevin, Q, Tim, Ben, and Kenzie. I laughed. I was like, huh, this reminds me of season 41 when it was literally Xander and all the ladies on one team and like all the men on the other side. Same thing here.
Yeah, it's just you kind of knew from the beginning who was gonna win, and yeah, good for Kenzie, bad for basically everyone else.
And then Tiffany chooses the man purple team to back, which I think it's a good choice because they are physically stronger. It'd be easier for them to like get up the boulder and all of the other physical parts of this challenge. As we see and as we keep saying, the puzzle is the great equalizer. But I also think it's a good choice from Tiffany here because her other two original Yanus are on this team with Kenzie and Q being here. So if she chose the other team and they lost, which they did, she probably would have been the easy vote out because she's the only purple up for elimination. At least if she's with the other two, you could like maybe split the votes or something like that. You might not go home. So choosing the man team, good, physically stronger, but also because her other Yanus are there.
Yeah, I feel like there was no way that Tiffany would have picked the other team. So definitely good work for her.
Yeah, so the challenge you have to race under a muddy net, push a cart to get heavy bags, get over big frames and nets, climb the big boulder, and then two players at a time each do one section of the puzzle. I like how everyone is on the puzzle. Similar to other challenges this season, everyone has to land a sandbag, everyone has to land a shot. Not just two people like, hey, Hunter's on the puzzle. He's going to win it for the whole team. It makes it more of an extra equalizer with the puzzle because if you have someone that sucks, there's like nothing you can do besides tell them where the puzzle pieces go.
Yeah, I think that having like kind of an equalizer is really good, but I think it also gives people an opportunity to notice what things that their tribe mates are good at. Like there's no hiding like, oh, I'm pretty good with a slingshot because everyone has to do the slingshot. And I feel like Hunter, someone said like, oh, Hunter's really good at puzzles, and I feel like maybe Hunter wouldn't have been everyone's first choice for puzzles, and maybe he could have hidden that longer if they didn't have to do this like 2 by 2 thing.
Yeah. So I like these equalizers because then one person just can't beast out the entire puzzle like a hunter or like someone who studied the puzzles previously. I like how everyone has to participate.
Yeah, I like it too. I feel like it makes the game more interesting.
I agree. I also would not want to go down that long net that they had to go down. I'm like, yo, people look like they could get hurt so bad. It was scary.
It reminded me of that one challenge, and I think it was Survivor Australia, where they had to like jump down into a net like that, and they were given like very specific instructions of how to fall so that they wouldn't like break anything. And I feel like that's the kind of thing where like if like your foot gets caught in one of those like rope holes, oh wait,
You're face planting.
yeah, that looks dangerous.
Or even that one US season where the woman like fell wrong and then broke her wrist, episode 1, and then got taken out.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate nets in Survivor. It's so scary looking. I would not want to participate, or I'd like roll down sideways. I would not like bounce on your butt and then they landed on their feet and then like fell forward. I would just roll down.
Mm-hmm. I just, why couldn't it have just been another slide?
Or a pole. But the puzzle was a great equalizer. The orange team did catch up on the puzzle. They were only a couple of pieces behind the purple team, but alas, the man team and Tiffany, they win. I thought the merge buff colors, it was like a pink red color, were so pretty. I'm like, maybe this is one to buy because this is a really pretty color.
Yeah, that is a nice color. I also thought it was very distinct from the other like pre-merge tribal colors, which I liked.
Yeah, and I thought it was also interesting here because the man team wins, the 3 Yanus are safe, so Q is safe, Tiffany and Kenzie are all safe. I think it would have been I guess it would have also been an easy vote if Tiffany was on the losing tribe. People would probably just vote out Tiffany. Whoever is the odd person out of the Yanus that's on the losing team, you probably just vote out because you're not pissing as many people off because, hey, they've only got 2 other friends. Let's just vote one of them out. Similar to like Caleb last season, only him and Emily. So let's just vote Caleb out or Emily out because it pisses off less people.
Yeah, I feel like this would have been more interesting if the winners couldn't vote because then it would have been 3-3. And that would have been so much more interesting than what we ended up with. I feel like, don't like it. And all of the Yanus being safe also made it, yeah, like there was an easy vote, but it was a different kind of easy vote. It just wasn't fun.
I think it is interesting this episode. I guess it sort of goes to show maybe it's better to show that your team, OG team, has some cracks rather than being super Siga strong like we see. We see Orange immediately throwing Venus under the bus. People can just tell that Venus is on the outs based off of her talking, the way people are acting. The people on Orange are infighting compared to everyone on Green is faking. Like, yeah, it was a unanimous vote last time. Everyone is good. But then they're throwing Mariah's name out quickly at the merge feast. But like Ben and Tim dancing around the subject at the merge feast also more sketchy than, yeah, we don't like Venus, let's vote her out. Like if you're not willing to say a name, why would we want to work with you? Because you're all are close. We're going to want to vote one of you out.
Yeah, I feel like Mariah also kind of fumbled it because she was like, oh, yeah, it was totally a unanimous vote. And it wasn't. Like, don't lie. Especially because I don't think she told anyone else about the lie. So it would have been so easy for someone else to kind of, you know, contradict her. So I feel like Mariah didn't do well. Venus didn't do well. A lot of these people, I feel like, were playing the merge really hard. And not to say there's a wrong way to play it, but like they weren't playing to their best interests.
I think from the outside, you're like, oh, it's easier to work with the 5 people on Orange because they're fighting with each other. It's not like a solid 5 alliance. They're not all working together. Like later down the line, us as Yanu, since we're sort of like the swing votes here, which way will we go? We can easily work more with the people on Orange because they're not all Orange strong compared to Green pretending like they are a block of 5. If you got down to 8, it would be 5 versus 3. You don't want that. I feel like Hunter did play the merge well because he continuously said, hey, I don't have a vote. I don't have a vote. Everyone knows he doesn't have a vote. He didn't fake that he lost his vote or anything like that. He said to a lot of people, I don't have a vote. I think that reduces his threat level. And it also, he technically didn't really pick a side. It was like everyone against Mariah here. But if it was more of a split vote, he could sort of keep some anonymity because he didn't have a vote.
Yeah, yeah. I just this merge. mm, It was interesting. I feel like Orange's infighting is probably going to get worse, but that might be interesting moving forward, just because then you're going to have more room to maneuver. I feel like so. Yeah.
I do think here though, Venus is right. Like you should vote Charlie. I think she went about it the wrong way though, because if Green is throwing Mariah's name out, okay, that means she's on the bottom. That means Maria and Charlie, who are also up for elimination, are being protected in some way because Ben and Tim didn't say their name, compared to Mariah's name being thrown out by the Siga people. It's like, I don't know. I think like she did have the right thought process. Like, yeah, we shouldn't vote Mariah. Let's vote Charlie. Or, you could have said Maria here, either one, because their names weren't being thrown out by Siga. You're just voting out Mariah, who's already on the bottom.
Yeah, I think the problem with Venus is she doesn't really have social capital, in the sense that Orange Tribe like doesn't really like her that much. It seems like she's been rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. And then like she seemed so desperate when it came to Green Tribe that it was kind of like, we know you'll vote for whoever as long as it's not you. So we're not going to let you like pick the person who you think will leverage you the most. So,
I feel
yeah.
like she should have said that. Like, oh, Mariah's being thrown out. Charlie and Maria aren't. They're closer to the Siga 5 than Mariah, and like using that reasoning rather than let's not vote a woman out, let's vote a man out. Charlie's the only man here, let's vote him out. I feel like that reasoning isn't as going to connect with people than like, hey, if you're thinking about numbers, Mariah's already on the bottom if her name is the one being thrown out by Green.
Yeah.
But it would have been funny if like Venus was told, "Hey, your name's coming up, vote Mariah," and then she goes on the Charlie thing and then the vote flips and Venus gets voted out.
That would have been funny.
But I feel like for Mariah, she should have flipped when her team lost immunity rather than continuously going with the fake Siga strong, because the team that lost, it's 3 original orange, 3 original green. Wouldn't you assume that your name is getting put out there because you had already lost, like you were left out of the vote last time, if you're pretending you are Siga strong when you aren't because you were left out of the vote? I don't know, you're already on the like back foot.
Yeah, I think it's hard because she might not want to seem disloyal, because that can also be like
Hmm.
Venus seems disloyal and her name ended up on the chopping block too. So it might have been a lose-lose situation. It felt like Mariah didn't have a lot of room to maneuver.
I agree. It's a hard spot because if you flip on Siga, you're going to piss off those other 5 people, but you also have to save yourself, and they already betrayed you once at the last gem vote and leaving you out. But like if you threw Siga under the bus pre-tribal and she told everyone about, "Hey, actually I was left out. I voted Ben with Gem. I was unfortunately lying. I'm sorry." Like that might just make Green mad at her and they're like, "Yeah, I'll just vote Mariah out because she's trying to flip on us." And then you would get all, 10, 11 votes anyways.
Yeah.
So I do want to know how everyone on Green convinced her that she was okay after being left out of the vote.
Yeah, I want to know too. Maybe it was just like she didn't have a great social read. Like, yeah. I want to know, like, did Mariah have any inkling of what was going on?
Yeah, and it's like a little too late, I feel like, to bring up the lie at tribal council because everyone's decisions are probably made up. Like, if you flipped at camp and not at tribal, maybe something could have worked, or maybe you just piss off the old green and they still vote for you. But I feel like it looks even more sketchy to bring it up at tribal. Like, okay, it's a Hail Mary, balls to the wall. You can say whatever you want because she knew she was going home. She played her shot in the dark to try to save herself, but like then it just looks like you're more of a liar because you've been lying the past few days and only brought it up at tribal.
Yeah. Oh, Mariah.
So tribal council, Mariah played the shot in the dark. It did not hit, so she gets majority of the votes and she gets eliminated. I think good for Charlie for throwing a vote just in case the shot in the dark hit. We see there's a lot of weird stuff happening on Twitter, apparently, like Venus saying, "Yeah, I told Charlie to do that." Charlie's like, "Yeah, I would have done that anyway," kind of thing. But like, it makes sense to throw a vote, say the shot in the dark does hit. There's no need to accidentally get eliminated with a revote. Throw a vote on someone else. Venus goes home if the shot in the dark works, or someone plays an idol or something janky.
Yeah. I think generally it's always good to cover your ass in Survivor. So I was surprised that more than one vote wasn't thrown just because I feel like there were it was going to be unanimous. So why not make sure that even if Charlie doesn't throw a vote, someone does?
Especially in the large tribals, I feel like we've talked before in a 6-person tribal, throwing a vote to prevent against the shot in the dark is a little bit more risky, as we've seen. People know you're the one that threw the vote probably because there's not that many people there. And then people hold grudges, they're going to be pissed off at you. So I feel like in a small tribal, like, okay, yes, maybe the shot in the dark will hit. You have to save yourself, prevent it. But like, if your name isn't the one coming up, maybe you don't split the vote in a small tribal like this. But like, if Charlie was nervous in a large tribal, I think it makes sense to throw a vote because it's harder to say who threw the vote here.
Yeah. So, yeah. It was a whole mess. I feel like there were so many more interesting ways to go than the bottom person just being unanimously or basically unanimously voted out. So,
RIP. Next week is a gross split tribal council, so it's an unfortunate time here.
yeah, it's unfortunate for both of us.
Yeah, I'm like, we just want a regular tribal council, please. Thank you. The
Please.
merge, as we've said in the new era, the merge is such an important vote, and to have it messed up like this every single time, and then to have weird split tribals, advantages, all this weird stuff, I'm like, we just need some regular votes. But at least the split tribal at 12, like final 10 split tribal is worse.
Yeah, for sure. But even at 12, it's not good.
Yeah, like 2 back-to-back tribals where it's not even everyone is up for elimination or everyone is voting. It's just we'll see next week.
We'll see next week. Maybe something interesting will happen that will make us eat our words.
Yeah, so I think maybe it was an Australian survivor this most recent season. It wasn't like, "Oh, the tribe has spoken." It was like one person spoke. So here, you're not voted out by all 12 people. You're voted out by 5 people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the fake merge episode of Survivor season 46. Do you like the fake merge or not? Do you wish that they brought back the hourglass? That would be a spicy take here. Are you excited for next week with the split tribal council? Let us know in the comments and we will see you all next week with a new podcast.